All right, welcome back to the nightclub. We're doing lesson 9.5. Today we're going to simplify some complex numbers. That means everybody's favorite letter I is making a comeback. So, you're so crazy. All right, we're going to do these. Now, before we go any further, you can do this on your calculator. So, like, if it comes up on the ACT, it's there, okay? Just go, you see the decimal point? See how the blue part has an I? So you just hit second and the decimal point and you get your I, okay? And you can make it go to the 9th power and you get what? I, okay? If you have I to the 12th power.
You put a decimal.
Oh, did I put a decimal? Thank
I
you.
go sit in that chair.
There we go. I to the 12th is 1. I to the 22nd, 222nd is
A lot of fun.
that. I know what that is.
Bet you didn't expect that.
I did not.
minus 2.2 error minus 12 I.
Yeah, what he said.
Not error.
It's -1 though, I believe. So if this happens, I guess it's a good thing that you know how to do what we're about to do. So,
-2.2.
what I'm going to do, where do I need to hit? Yeah, so, what does I equal, first off?
-1.
What -1?
Square root of -1.
It is the square root of -1. I squared
Equals negative.
is the square root of -1 times the square root of -1, which when you multiply two square roots over the same thing, the square roots just what? Cancel. So that equals -1. I to the 3rd is I times I squared, right? I squared times I. Well, what was I squared? -1. So it's just -1 times I. So it's just -I. Okay? I to the 4th would be I squared times I squared, which is +1. -1 times -1 is +1. Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
I to the 5th would be I to the 4th times I. Well, what is I to the 4th? We just found it. It's what? 1. 1 times I is just I, and the pattern starts over again. Okay? It is a pattern. It goes I, -1, I, 1. I, -1, I, 1. Over and over and over again. You keep getting those same answers.
That's terrible.
Okay? So, which one gives you an answer of 1?
A bunch of them.
After every which one? How many of them?
2.
No.
Every 3.
No.
4.
Every 4th one, your answer is going to be what? 1. So I to the 8th is what? 1. I to the 12th is
1.
I to the 16th. I to the 20th. Does everybody see the pattern? Okay? If the number is divisible by 1, if the number is divisible by 4, what's your answer going to be? 1. Okay? If it's not divisible by 4, let's say you have a remainder of 1. Which one of these do you think it's going to be?
Negative I.
It's just I. That starts over. Okay? I to what power?
My remainder.
1, right?
What is the remainder of 1?
5. 4 will go into 5 how many times? It'll go in once, -4. I have a remainder of what? 1. Okay? If you have a remainder of 1, I is going to be your answer. If you have a remainder of 2, -1 is going to be your answer. If you have a remainder of 3, -I will be your answer. Does everybody follow that? If you have a remainder of 4, you don't have a remainder. And you're back to 1. So all you have to do on like part A here, I to the 53 power. Well, 53 divided by 4.
Doesn't want to.
Let's figure out what'll go into it. That'd be 1 minus 4. 4 will go into 13 how many times? 3 minus 12. We have a remainder of what? 1. So my answer is I. Easy enough?
So you have to do the division on paper to figure it out.
Not necessarily. Your calculator probably does that. Let's see. I to the, what was it, 53 power?
Yes.
Yeah, it did it for me.
Okay.
It's
Second and the decimal
dot.
point. This is just, not every calculator has that cool little I button. Okay, so you need to know how to do it without it.
I got you.
The answer is just I, correct. Negative 13. What's different? It's negative, okay? So I'm gonna, if I can, let me write this out a little bit.
Wait, so taking our test, you want us to
You can put it in your calculator. All right, so I wrote out a little pattern here, okay? This is I, this one's I squared, I to the third, I to the fourth, okay? This is just I. This one right here is I to the what power? 0. I'm going backwards here. All right, this is I to the -1, I to the -2. So it's different if your exponent is negative. Okay? I say it's different. 2 of them are different. Okay? If you have a remainder of 2, it's still -1. If you don't have a remainder, it's still +1. But what changes is now if you have a remainder of 1, it's now -I. Okay? And if you have a remainder of 3, now it's I. Okay? So you have to keep that straight in your brain. So 13, wasn't it negative 13? What's my remainder going to be? 4 will go into 13. We'll have a remainder of 1. But my answer is not going to be I, it's going to be what? Negative I. Now the way I remember it is if it's a negative exponent here and it has a remainder of 1, it's -I rather than just I. Okay? But, like again, you'll have your little safety net on the test. Second I to the, to the -13th power. Ah. It does work. This is what this is saying, okay? -3 to the -13th power. This is the calculator's, we've talked about this. This is the calculator's way of saying, what's the variances? No, what's the kind of, like, where you say 10 to the negative times 10 to the, scientific notation. Sorry, lost my brain there. This is saying -3 times 10 to the -13 power, okay? I don't know why the calculator does this, because all that is what? It's 0. The -13th power means you're gonna move your decimal. Do y'all remember doing these? Okay, you're gonna move your decimal 13 times which way? To the left. So the final answer is gonna be 0.12 zeros, -3. Negative 0.12 zeros and a 3, which is basically just what? 0. It's 0. Minus I would just be what? -I. Okay, so what's the one we did a minute ago? This one? This is the same process. Okay, this answer is going to be what though? negative 1, because all of this is basically just what? 0. So I guarantee you if you divided 222 by 4, you'll get a remainder of 2, correct? Think so? Is that right? Does it say something 0.5?
Yes.
So that's a remainder of 2. So that answer would be negative 1. And forget about all that on behind it. Okay? Is that making sense on your calculator? All right? Let's do some actual... Oh, you sure can. That part? What part? The what I had up there. That. Gotcha. So, let's move on to example 2. The rest of this is actually pretty easy, even if I am the teacher and say so myself. This is written in standard form when you have real numbers and imaginary numbers, okay, combined. We're talking about complex numbers, okay? You always write the real number first and then the imaginary number. And if you're adding, do you think you can add something that's real to something that's imaginary? No. Can you add something that's real to something that's real?
Yes.
Can you add something that's imaginary to something that's imaginary? Yes. So all you do is add the real numbers to each other and add the imaginary numbers to each other, and you're done. So 5 plus negative 2 is what? 3. Negative 3i plus 4i. That's a positive I. Plus I.
I could do this.
Done.
We did this in algebra too.
You did.
We did this on our test.
All right.
You can just put it in calculator.
Here, yes. And again, I don't know why you would. We're probably like this, but yes, you can just stick this in your calculator, just like it is. Okay. 10 minus 14 is what? Negative 4. Negative 2i minus a negative 6i would be positive 4i, because that negative is going to make 2 positives, okay? If you want to distribute your negative, that's the way I always do it. Everybody good there?
Does it say negative? How you distributed?
I did. Everybody good on example 2?
Hold on.
All right. Example 3. What are we doing with them now? We are multiplying. You do the same thing you always have done, okay? Whether your teacher taught it to you as distributing twice, or some people may have called it foiling, okay? That's all you do. First, 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times negative 4i is negative 8i. 3i, negative 3i times 7 is negative 21i. And negative 3i times negative 4i is positive 12i squared. What is I squared?
Negative 1.
Negative 1.
Good job, guys.
So
We're doing great.
replace that with negative 1 and then add up your like terms. What is 4? 12 times negative 1 is going to be negative 12. So what's 4 minus 12? 14 minus 12. Thank you. I said 4. God, I'm getting old. 14 minus 12 is 2. And negative 8i minus 21i is negative 29i. Any questions? Where you can, what other?
It shouldn't be.
Like not the simple, not the FOIL, but the part where you turn it into the 2 minus 21.
I squared is negative 1. Negative 1 times 12 is minus 12. So I'm saying 14 minus 12, because they're both real numbers. That's 2. And then negative 8i and negative 21i are both imaginary numbers. So I can add those and make negative 29i.
I see.
Okay?
plus 12, 14 plus 12I.
Ends up being 14 minus 12. Okay? If you hit mode on your calculator, you will see down here, see it says real? You can also change it to A plus BI. That's what you'll want it in if you're adding your imaginary numbers, okay? Because that's what you want your answers to be in, okay? Everybody follow that. A is the real number, BI is the imaginary because it's the one with the what? What does it have with it? With the I, okay?
So what's the other one?
This one, it has an R and a theta. What do you think? What does those call?
Gradients.
Huh?
Gradients.
Yes, but what uses R and theta? Gosh, y'all don't remember anything the next day. What have we been doing the day yesterday, the whole day? R and theta are what? Polar coordinates. That's the polar coordinates. Okay? So if you're doing it with polar, you can use that. All right? All right. One more, and I will leave you alone. Oops, wrong thing. Can't find my screen. I wonder if it's still video. Oh, it's not because I paused it. All right. Example 4, we're skipping. We're going to go straight to example 5. Example 3, we multiplied. So example 5, we are dividing. Okay? Here's how you divide. It's a little longer. Okay? First, I'm going to write it over each other. Everybody with me there? Okay. We have done this when we dealt with irrational answers, when we had radicals on the bottom. Remember, they don't like having radicals on the bottom? Okay. It's the same type thing to get rid of the I. When we were rationalizing our denominator for radicals, what did we multiply the bottom by and the top by? The conjugate. You do the same thing. What is the conjugate of 1 minus 2i? 1 plus 2i. So I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 1 plus 2i. Okay? When we did this, the radicals on the bottom always did what? They always go away. So what do you think is going to happen to my i's that are on the bottom? They're going to go away. If they don't, you're doing something incorrect. Okay? So, on top, we're going to distribute just like we did a minute ago. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2i is 10i. Negative 3i times 1 is negative 3i. And negative 3i times 2i is negative 6i squared. Over. On the bottom, same process. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to do this the long way, but I want you to understand the middle numbers are just going to what every time? They're going to cancel out, but I'm going to do it the long way for now just so you can see it. All right, 1 times 2i is positive 2i. Negative 2i times 1 is negative 2i. And negative 2i times positive 2i is negative 4i squared. So these two in the middle, what? Cancel. Because we're multiplying by the conjugate. That's always going to happen if you're multiplying by the conjugate. Okay? So then you just simplify. What's I squared again? Negative 1. So I'm going to replace both of those I squareds with negative 1s. Okay? And now, rather than being minus 6 times I squared, it's minus 6 times negative 1, which makes what? Plus 6. So 5 plus 6 is what? 11. 10 minus 3i is 7i. I should have said 10i minus 3i is 7i.
5 plus 6.
5 plus 6 is 11.
Yeah, but where's the I got?
There's no more I. It was negative 1. I squared is negative 1. No more I. Okay? Negative 1 times negative 6 is what? Positive 6. Plus 5 is 11. All right, same thing on the bottom. The negative 2i and the positive 2i have canceled. I squared is -1. What's -1 times -4? Positive 4. So 1 plus 4 is what? 5. That is your answer. 11 plus 7i over 5. Any questions? Now, you can, this is written as one fraction. You can separate it if it wants you to. This could be 11 over 5 plus what? 7 over 5 times I. I'll take either answer then. Okay? I just don't know how they are in the back of the book. So I didn't want you, it's the same thing. I didn't want you getting confused if they don't have it written like that in the back. Everybody good? All right. Thanks for coming by and stopping, saying hello. Like and follow, right? And that what it says. And subscribe. Y'all have a great day. See you next time. Stay above the line.